Hello? I think I'm lagging. Hello? Propane tank? Propane tank? Am I... Wait, let me check. I think I'm lagging. What happened? You kinda are. No, it's my PC. I can see it lagging. Okay, wait 1 second. Yep, I'm lagging. Wait, I need to message uncle. Our community uncle. 1 second. I changed settings yesterday because of Patreon was processing like slowly as hell. I'm still lagging, dropping frames. Okay. Maybe I had to restart the stream. Change the settings, like adjust the settings and then restart. I will say get more RAM. You need to get a full-on mortgage. Get a RAM. Same thing. Anyway. Okay, I wonder if I can restart my stream. Is it gonna mess up my my schedule? Because this lag is unbearable. Okay, I'm gonna try to restart my stream. 1 second. I don't know if it's gonna... Thank God, all it did was... Wait. Okay, hello? Can you hear me now? All it took was to restart my PC. What the fuck? Anyway. Like I said, I need a new PC, man. Can you hear me? Yeah, we're back. Thank God. I was so excited to read today, imagine. Let me just tell me. Everyone, I'm alive. Okay, let's jump into it, guys. Let's jump into it. Thank the fool, exactly. Okay, let's start reading. I think everything works. Good. Sorry about the bad start. I have to open everything again because I don't know why, but restarting my PC worked. The old reliable, right? The good old reliable. How is your chat is fucked up? I'm gonna wait, let me open it. How is your guys day so far? Can't believe what I'm speaking. How's the music volume, by the way? Is the music volume good? Nice shirt. Thank you. Hello, Becca. Music too loud. W rir. That's for your mod, by the way. Beyond their weapon, we are buying weapon for our son Derek. If you didn't know. Wait, we already did. Where am I? We are 279. Yeah, after Bound's future. After dinner in the billiard room of the Bravehearts bar. Yeah, we hired bodyguard Sharon. Yeah, and then Williams got killed by Mr. A. It's not a shirt, by the way, it's a hoodie. Because it's winter season, winter arc. Extreme joy, baguette sorrow. What is a baguette? Like baguette? Googling immediately, by the way. Her name got revealed? Yeah, it did. But I was spoiled on it because some chatter thought it was smart to say it. Let's see what baguettes is.
Baguette.
It's literally a baguette, but baguette. Man into existence by the process of reproduction. Ugh. Bring about.
Baguette.
We have so much snow, yeah, we as well. In Estonia, I'm drowning in it. Baguette. Baguette. Let me open my drive as well. Sorry for the late start and for the lag in the beginning. Chapters are gonna be peak, don't worry. Where did we leave off last time? Last theory was the guy who killed Williams is Mr. A, or from the Aurora Order. Pound family are descendants of the Tudor Empire family. That was confirmed, by the way. Was that confirmed, or is it just Klein speculating? It's pretty much confirmed how fucking Raftel Pound was scamming us, or like fooling us all this time, by the way. Kapim is beyond their tycoon mafia boss. Pimp, he sold off Cyber to be murdered. That was wrong. But we're gonna investigate more, right? Anyway, let's keep reading. Praise Mr. Eindu, exactly. Anyway, let me start recording as well. Extreme joy begets sorrow. Apparently beget means to bring about or to birth, right? And it's pronounced baguette, like baguette. Anyway, in a dark underground structure, Klein walked around the hall with a raised lantern in his hand. He truly checked to see if there were any other entrances. Of course, he didn't dare enter the tunnel that led to the innermost room. And the newly gathered snakes were once again blown away by a biting cold wind. After receiving confirmation, he took the initiative to retreat to the side of the gate, where he watched along with the 3 zombies as Sharon placed explosives at different locations. She looks very professional, Klein sighed softly, and without doubt the 3 zombies didn't respond to his musings. However, there was a reason for this. He kept using his spirituality to wrap Asik's copper whistle so as to shield against its negative effects. Otherwise, he would encounter their abnormally passionate response. Yeah, exactly. He had no intention of bringing this ancient and exquisite copper whistle with him originally, but considering that he had to guard against the evil spirit manipulations, he could only sacrifice some of his spirituality. Miss Sharon said that she's a demolition expert, and from the looks of it, she really isn't bragging. I wonder if the demolition stuff is something to do with her pathway. But like, why? Right? Interesting. Was she in this line of work in the past, or does one of her sequence in her Beyonder pathway make her skilled in this domain? According to the information I read back in Nighthawks, a few candidates like Sequence 9 Criminal, Prisoner, Warrior, and Hunter, Sequence 8 Sheriff, and Sequence 7 Weapon Master and Knowledge Keeper. This latter has a nickname, Detective. Ooh, no, that's crazy. Wait a second. Knowledge Keeper. That would be Sequence 7. Wait. Won't this be Sequence 6 then? But Sequence 7, Weapon Master and Knowledge Keeper. Is this a one pathway? Wait 1 second. Let me consult the notes here. Sheriff. That's one pathway. Weapon Master Knowledge Keeper. That's a long ass pathway name. What the hell? Or I'm misunderstanding something. Didn't we have Weapons Master before? Oh, Warrior. Wait, Knowledge Keeper then. Like this then? Sequence 7 Warrior is Weapons Master and Sequence 7 Arbiter is Knowledge Keeper. I think that's more likely. Yeah, exactly, Becca. I figured out my own. But it was, yeah, anyway. And the ladder is a nickname, Detective. That's so cool, by the way. Like, we can add Detective, I guess, in the... I like Detective more. I even called Detective, by the way. Though Detective... Line is going to open a detective business. No, okay, I didn't write it down, but I think I mentioned it. But it's a nickname anyway, so it doesn't matter, right? Knowledge Keepers from the Reader pathway. Wait, what? Am I actually... Knowledge Keeper is Reader? Okay, I can't... do I have a reading problem? Wait. According to the information I read back in Nighthawks, a few candidates like Sequence 9 Criminal, Prisoner, Warrior, and Hunter, Sequence 9 Sheriff, and Sequence 7 Weapon Master and Knowledge Keeper. I guess he's not mentioning it. He's guessing sequence names from different pathways is new skill issue. Okay, this is a skill issue, I see. Translation is messed up. Whenever I make a mistake, play in translation, right? Anyway, okay, so apparently it's on the Reader pathway. My bad. But it should have been on Knowledge Keeper, makes sense, but it should have been on the Arbiter pathway, right? What the fucking jump scare? Reader, I have Reader and then Prophet, question mark, because I'm not sure. He's listing sequence name without the pathway. Oh, so you guys saying Reader may actually... Okay, cool. Now we know though. It's not that big of a problem though. I see, okay. That makes sense. The ladder has a nickname, Detective. It's part of the Church of the God of Knowledge and Wisdom. As for the rest, I'm completely clueless. Okay. I wonder which pathway Miss Sharon is. Nothing seems to match, and she even showed her ability to command the zombies. Okay, what if she's Shepherd then? Right? Because she can use a lot of abilities from... but then again... If she's on the secret suppliant, wouldn't she be from the Aurora Order? And I don't think she is. Remember, she said she doesn't want to, like, have a group or whatever, right? While client thoughts wandered and made all sorts of associations, Sharon finished setting up the explosives and in passing lit the fuse. In passing, lighting the fuse. Hey, why didn't you give any warning? Only then did Klein jolt back to his senses and was startled. He quickly rushed out of the hall and entered the corridor outside. As for the three zombies, they calmly followed behind him. It's very safe here. Sharon suddenly appeared and floated beside him. Klein breathed a sigh of relief and asked, "Will dust fall from the tremors over here?" "Yes," Sharon answered with a single word. "That's good." As he spoke, Klein took another step back. The hissing sound of the fuse burning reached his ears, making him feel slightly irritated. It wasn't because he was afraid of the explosion that followed, but because he couldn't feel at ease. "One," Sharon said suddenly. "Huh?" Klein didn't understand what she meant. Then, rumble, like rocks falling. Imagine rocks falling. The earth shook violently and plumes of dust fell from above. Klein's ear buzzed, and for a moment he couldn't hear anything else. If it wasn't for the fact that he was a clown, he would have lost his balance and collapsed to the ground. Ooh. Sup, Omega. Having been distracted and caught unaware, he started to cough. He saw boulders and mud rapidly falling in front of him as they instantly blocked the entrance. During the remaining tremors, Klein gripped the copper whistle given to him by Mr. Asik and observed his reaction. Although he had divined beforehand that this expedition would be safe, he didn't dare to believe it completely, even if it was a revelation gained from above the Grey Fog, since it involved the statues of the 6 Orthodox gods. Therefore, he cautiously judged whether or not the evil spirit was freed with the help of Asik's copper whistle. I mean, I think your previous hypothesis about, Raftel's brothers, or like, I guess, not really brothers because he was a distant relative of the Pound family, or like cousin, but, your predecessors died here, right? Although the copper whistle surface was cold but mild and it had no abnormal changes, completely relieved, Klein looked at the zombies beside him and confirmed one thing from their eyes. His face was very dirty right now. Oh, reflection. That's good. In line with how I am doing to explain this to old Mr. Millet, I didn't waste my effort in changing into a different set of clothes. He walked to the entrance and confirmed that it was completely blocked. Without causing too much of a commotion, it's true that only those from the apprentice path and beyonders like Miss Sharon can enter in the future. So, if Miss Sharon is on the shepherd sequence, right, she might have like a ability from the apprentice pathway, because remember, like, Force can like enter places, and I also think that Traveler, what Sharon is using is a Traveler ability, so she might be from the apprentice pathway or the secret suppliant pathway. That's what I think. Klein looked at the boulders and wait, what? By doing so, she has ruled out many potential competitors. No wonder it was free. Klein looked at the boulders and dirt before sighing. I mean, Sharon is investing in its future, basically. Shepherd is from the secret suppliant pathway. That's what I said. What I said is, let me explain. There is a chance that she's on the apprentice pathway, or she is secret suppliant and on the shepherd sequence minimum, right? Klein looked at the boulders and dirt before sighing. Of course I can too. I have a condition similar to a spirit body. He silently added this sentence inwardly with a smile, but his expression didn't change at all. Let's call it a day. With an accelerated snap of his fingers, Klein led the 3 zombies back to the basement of the house. As for Sharon, she had already disappeared. Really, she just left? In the spacious basement, Millet was nervously pacing back and forth, looking at the secret door from time to time. As soon as he saw Detective Moriarty and his assistants exit, he let out a long breath and asked anxiously, What happened inside?" Klein deliberately panicked and said, "Oh, the underground structure is too old. It hasn't been repaired in a long time. We were driving the snakes away, but with just a little bit of movement, it collapsed. The whole area has collapsed, but luckily, we were close to the door and managed to escape in time." "Holy Lord of Storms! That structure was that dangerous!" Millet pounded his left breast. "Yes, there are always only a few ancient buildings that can be preserved. The rest would have collapsed in the river of history," Klein answered. I'll bring you in to confirm the situation." "Oh, will there be more collapses?" Millet asked cautiously. "No, this area is quite sturdy." Klein deliberately patted the dust off his body and coughed twice. Then he led his employer in and stopped at the entrance that was completely blocked. The walls near the halls had also collapsed, leaving behind only stones and dirt. "You can use this area," he pointed to the corridor area. Millet was silent for a few seconds before he sighed. "Oh, thank goodness. I think I didn't hastily send someone in to explore, but instead went to look for you. A professional. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had to bear the burden of the loss of several lives. Alright, this commission ends here. I'll pay you the rest of the reward." As he spoke, completely Oscared, by the way. Give Klein a reward for acting. Aren't you finally not coughing like a dog? Really? Isn't Lord of Mysteries game, isn't it crossplay on mobile as well? As he spoke, Millet took out his wallet, did count, and was somewhat embarrassed to find that there were only 30 pounds in cash. Brokey! Oh, fortunately, I still have forms of money. Otherwise, I'd have to go to the bank, Millet mumbled as he looked up at Klein. Do you mind taking gold coins? No, I don't mind any form of money, Klein smiled. Of course. I mean, he will take it in pennies. The gold pound of the Lower Kingdom could be in the form of gold coins unless they were huge denominations. Denominations? Yeah. This was the guarantee of the denomination of paper money. Oh, like the currency is backed by gold. I see. However, in the past 100 years after Emperor Cell, the people of the northern continent had become more and more accustomed to paper. There were even more members of the parliament who wanted notes to replace copper pennies. Oh. Gold in the true sense of the word already hardly ever circulated in the market. Only some of the old gentlemen would attach a fixed box on the other end of their pocket watch chains, which contained some gold in case of accidents. He was to give them peace of mind and was also a habit. Millet nodded and following the gold chain on his clothes, like the old man, he pulled out a box that flickered with golden light from a certain pocket. He opened the box, took out 5 gold coins, handed them together with the notes he had previously counted to the detective. Klein didn't hide his actions as he counted the money and suddenly flicked the gold coin and caught it coolly. What the fuck, he's just flexing on them? He's aura forming with the gold coin. Thank you for your generosity. He glanced at the portrait that was facing up and smiled sincerely. Then he pressed his hand to his chest and bowed while facing Millet. Yes, if it were any other detective, even if they demolished the entrance and the passageway, they will definitely have nightmares upon returning. They would hear things at home and their minds will turn weak. Yeah, like losing control because of the high spiritual aura because of the wraith. They would feel like they're being watched all the time and experience other problems. That's the corruption of the evil spirit's aura. Yeah, exactly, the spirit aura. It will take a very long time before the effects disappear, but we're different. We're built different. Miss Sharon is like a ghost to begin with. As for me, I'll be completely fine once I go above the grey fog. As for the 3 zombies, they aren't even afraid of death, so what's there to be afraid of? Klein lampooned while in a good mood as he paid Millet farewell and left his house. Why can't I read today, man? I feel like I have so much difficulty today. Arriving on the street without even informing him, the 3 zombies walked in another direction. Oh, Miss Sharon is like de-summoning the zombies. Also interesting how Mark and Casper's like kind of work for Sharon. I'm guessing Sharon is just that high level of Beyonder. Maybe sequence 4, sequence 5. You know, Miss Sharon is gone. She really didn't collect any money for the zombies. Klein smiled as he raised his arm and waved at the departing packs of the 3 zombies. Then he went home and changed into his normal clothes and headed for the Golai Club to practice shooting. After also settling this dinner, there was a reward for the successful completion of his mission. Klein returned to Minsk Street in a public carriage. The dark, gloomy environment was illuminated by gas lamps, and with this gain he strolled leisurely along the street. Suddenly he had a premonition which wasn't too good or bad. What's going on? Klein looked up. He saw 2 police constables with a dog on a leash, apparently investigating the streets. Oh, because there's a serial killer on loose, right? My phone is gonna explode. Oh, because of the crossplay. No one was mentioned working for Sharon. Yeah, I meant like because she's so what's it called? She's so high level in cultivation, not cultivation, sorry, in the pathway that they do what she wants, right? Because Sharon wants to work alone. Investigation with a police dog. Is this really assault of the serial killings? The scene of the murder had the smell of gloves and gooseberries, as in like garlic cloves. Vampire? Wait, why is there garlic clove? Isn't? No, vampire is not a sequence unless it's on the monster or criminal pathway. Maybe like sequence 6 monster is vampire, but doesn't really make sense of the other like I guess robot, lucky, winner. No. Sequence 6 of criminal is vampire maybe, but I guess that doesn't really make sense either. Alexi Note 8, wow. What's our gooseberries? Oh, I know them. They're delicious. I want to see like some fun facts about maybe against vampires. No. Gooseberries, vampires. No. Okay, so no info. But gloves, like garlic gloves. Didn't Isaac mention there were vampires, werewolves, dragons? Yeah, but these are mythical creatures. I was talking about a sequence. Gloves? What else can be a glove, though? Oh. Oh! I did not know this exists. Gloves are aromatic dried nail-shaped flower buds of the Syzygium aromaticum tree. I see. My bad. He mentioned sequence named vampire in the anime. Did he? I thought he mentioned the that there are vampires, dragons, and stuff like that, as in werewolf, as in like creatures, like elves, not as a sequence. I guess maybe I forgot then. He did. Okay. Okay. Maybe I'm. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I thought garlic gloves. So I immediately thought of a vampire. So they included a police dog. Klein couldn't help but silently lampoon. The history of dogs dated back as far as the Rosella period, but the numbers had always been small. Considering that he had many things on him and considering his earlier premonition, Klein decided to take a detour. At that moment, the two policemen saw him and signaled for him to stop. The corner of Klein's mouth twitched as he waited in place with a smile on his face. Routine investigation as they approached. Oh wait, routine investigation as they approached. One of the officers showed his ID documents. Alright, before Klein could finish his sentence, the police dog silently growled at him and barked endlessly. Oh shit. 8. That's bad. Is it because of the smell of gunpowder on me? The smell of gunpowder from my afternoon practice. Klein instantly realized what was happening. He looked at the faces of the two officers who were now on alert. With a thought, he smiled and said, it's this. I picked it up a revolver along the way, along with the underarm holster and bullets. I was planning on handing them over to the police. Slowly he took out his revolver, raised his hands to his shoulders and added with a serious smile, "Officers, I really am not bearing a gun illegally." As one constable remained on high alert, the other constable received the revolver and said seriously, "You have to come back to the police station with us." He doesn't have real ID. It's Joe over. I think it's Joe over, guys. Because, like, they wanna see his ID. Like, I don't think Klein is gonna pull up his landlord contract, his rent contract. Alright, Klein returned with a radiant smile, but I have a request. Please inform my lawyer, Mr. Jürgen Cooper. Ooh, I wanna see Jürgen again, man. I will only accept a body search with him around. Oh my god. That's Klein's rights, by the way. Right? Klein has a right to that, and Klein knows his rights. W. The first step. Anyway, Sharon disappeared. 280, by the way. Sharon disappeared as quickly as, you know, she was introduced. I do think we're gonna see her again in the future. I do think she's on the, what's it called again? Secret Suppliant pathway. And at least a shepherd, right? So, we go down my theories. My theory was before this, or on the apprentice pathway, but more likely that she has an apprentice ability of traveler while being on the shepherd sequence. Bodyguards. No, I don't think monster anymore. I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna change it. On the secret suppliant pathway and uses traveler ability. There we go. Anyway, 280, let's go. Sharon invested in the future. She's super smart. I can't wait to see more of her. Also, we looked at Sharon art and Sharon looks amazing, by the way. In a corner of East Borough, a drunken Xeon faced the wall, pulled off his pants and began watering the moss. Oh, like peeing. Oh my god, I was like, what the fuck's happening? What's a Xeon? A drunken Xeon faced the fall, pulled off his pants and began watering the moss in comfort. When he was done, someone suddenly patted his shoulder. Xeon couldn't help but shiver a few times. He picked up his pants and half turned to see a short boy in a canvas jacket and cap. Oh, Ian? The boy raised his head, revealing a mild and delicate face despite looking dirty. Oh, Shio. Shio, why are you dressed like that? Xeon blurted out in surprise. Oh, okay, I remember, right? The Aurora Order, especially Lanevus, is after Shio, right? I think Xeon was the guy who introduced the bar, remember? In the slums. Shio put her index finger under her lips to indicate the need for silence. Then she suppressed her voice and said, I'll ask you answer. Keep your voice down. Astonished by her awe-inspiring presence, Xeon could only nod. Which of the guys that Williams knew have died within the past 2 days? Shio asked in a low voice. Xeon used his alcohol-paralyzed brain to carefully think for a while and said, Gavin was found to have drowned in the Dossock River this morning. He probably fell into the river last night. The poor soul doesn't know how to swim and likes to enjoy the wind by the river when he's drunk. No, he was murdered. There's no way he was just, drowned. Chio's case suddenly became sharp. Without any hesitation, she asked, Did Gavin accept William's request to look for the wanted criminal Lanevus? Of course! We all got his commission from Williams anyway. It's not like it's a big deal. All we have to do is show the portrait to everyone we know and keep an eye out for someone who looks like him. Oh, Williams said that if there's a clue, he'd treat me to 3 days of booze and meat. The poor fellow actually died in a gas explosion. That's why I refused to have my landlord install a gas pipe. That was months ago. I can only afford a cheap hotel now. Xeon droned on. Bro has no idea. Poor Gavin, I know, right? Gavin catching stray bullets, dude. What region is Gavin in charge of? Did he mention anything to you? Gio looked sideways, pursed her lips, and stared straight to Xeon. He usually goes to dock area near the eastern Balam dock. He even met me yesterday evening and said that he went to the Workers' Alliance Tavern there to spread the news of his search for Lanevus. And he also showed the portrait to Lanevus to everyone present. Oh, that's how the news traveled, I guess. Right? That's how Gavin, right? That's how Gavin got killed, because too many people knew. Some of these people working together with Lanevus told Lanevus or told the Aurora Order, and they just killed, right? It would be funny if, like, we used Mr. A to kill the ambassador, right? Bakerland. But now I think he's our enemy, because I think he's the one that killed Williams, right? There are many docks in Backland, most of which were considered as the dock area and designed as shipyards. And after that, did Gavin say what he was going to do? She asked again, frowning doubtfully. Of course, drinking. He planned to have a good drink and then find a place to sleep. Oh, the poor soul must have felt hot from drinking and wanted to take a bath in the river, but he forgot he couldn't swim. And it is almost winter. Xeon sighed again. Yeah, he has no clue. This Gavin didn't discover anything. He had gone to the Workers' Alliance Tavern East Balam Dock and distributed quote-unquote leaflets to search for Lanevus, but ended up meeting in his demise. It's even implicated Williams. The murderer's reaction can no longer be described as extreme anymore. He's simply a lunatic. Yeah, come on. Mr. Eindu, Mr. A. If I were Lanevus, the easiest option would be immediately move somewhere else and avoid being found. Unless he's embroiled in something and cannot leave anytime soon. Are they cooking up another plan, by the way? Is Lanevus cooking up another plan? I mean, he has to, right? But we have no idea what it is. But there wasn't the only one looking for him. There are also many bounty hunters. He may kill Williams, but can he kill that many people? If he had the ability, he would kill off everyone who spread wanted posters in Civilus Yard. True, but that will be suspicious, right? Because remember, too many coincidences are no longer coincidences, right? She was completely befuddled by the entire matter, just like how she found William's death impossible. In the end, she decided to report the problem to Miss Audrey first, and then head to the Workers' Alliance Tavern in East Balam in the sky. She won't make any inquiries and only observe to see if there was anyone suspicious. Now, I have an idea or theory. I feel like if Shio finds out, like, this is basically a task set up by the Fool. But if Geo and Force actually succeed in this, they're gonna join the Tarot Club. Definitely, right? I mean, that's not really a theory, man. That was literally said if they succeed. Yeah, I mean, basically, I do not think Geo and Force will die, but I will be devastated if one of them dies. You didn't receive this notification for the stream? Really? Sherwoodboro, Rice Police Station. Okay, let's see what Khan is gonna cook up. He has to have a masterpiece of a performance here to fool the police. I'm guessing Jurgen is gonna help a lot as well, but he doesn't have any idea. Like, what is he gonna do? Like, get his fucking rent contract out? Once again, Klein found himself huddled on a backrest, equipped bench with thieves and drunkards. How unlucky you think that I will run into the police and fail. Take a detour in time. It's all because of that damn serial killer. This is not a coincidence, by the way. Is this a fucking coincidence? I've been saying this. I have coincidence PTSD, understand, but it cannot be Ince. I don't think it's Ince, because Ince thinks Klein is dead. Maybe it's 008 acting on its own. But then again, the same problem arises with not knowing about Klein's... Because, man. Because we know that 008 has consciousness, right? Is there like beyond their soul trapped in 008? Okay. But what I said earlier as well, that I think is the truth, or what is most likely, is that, Klein's fate is also being controlled by a higher power. It's like a pyramid. Or like, it's like not a pyramid, but like a chain, right? So Klein is being controlled by Ince, and then there's someone above controlling all the events, and that's the, being or whatever is behind the grey fog. My head explodes, man. To think that I would run into the police and fail to take a detour in time, it's all because of that damn serial killer. As Klein cursed... Oh wait, let me write it down actually. Let me write down that 008 has a Beyonder soul. 008 has a Beyonder soul. Am I making sense? Am I low-key making sense? Because another theory I have about the 008 is a high-level dragon pathway artifact. Yeah, and here as well. Has consciousness and plots against Ince. That's what I was thinking as well, right? I think it's typed like this. 008. I don't know how to write it down though. Anyway. He thought about how to hide his charms in the herbal powder he couldn't explain away, and dodged the body search that followed. He had tried to put them in his black gloves, then he found a chance to slip them into a hidden spot in the police station, only to retrieve them when he left. Interesting. You're gonna be found out, because you know what police hate? I'm guessing the dog snuffed out the charms and stuff, right? They hate rogue, not rogue cultivators, damn, I'm cultivation brained. Rogue Beyonders because they are a threat in the future, even Sequence 9s. Just then his eyes lit up and he saw the young lawyer Jürgen Cooper with his hair neatly combed back. He was dressed like he was attending a banquet. Just as Cooper came over, he was accompanied by a police constable. You can leave after signing your name, Jürgen said with his usual serious expression. Is that all? Klein asked in surprise. Jürgen nodded slightly. Yes, they know you're a well-known detective. Okay, interesting. We don't have to show our ID even. Holy shit, Jürgen. I think it's more than that. Jürgen cooked behind the scenes. I do think Jürgen is on the lawyer pathway though. Right? What kind of reason is this? Klein didn't dare to ask further. Immediately got up and followed after Jürgen, who was wearing a long black tweed coat. He signed his name at a leisurely pace before leaving. How much money are you gonna ask us? Let me guess, he's gonna ask for £8. The weather was different from last time he was led out from the police station by Jürgen. There was no rain and only thick clouds obscuring the crimson moon and stars. The streets were illuminated by gas lamps that lined both sides of the streets. Thank you so much, I troubled you once again. Klein briskly walked forward and came to Jurgen's side. Jurgen turned his head to look at him and said to him without a smile, "There's no need to thank me, this is my job." £2. Oh, £2, okay. Stray Beyonders, unaffiliated Beyonders, exactly, yeah. Jurgen carried, yeah, I know, right? Education or potions? Both. Yes. Both. Klein sized him up seriously and revealed a smile. Okay. His wallet was bulging recently. And he produced 2 £1 notes at once. With a trace of politeness, Jurgen received the payment and said, "He seems very socially awkward though, right? He looks like he's socially stunted and has no emotions. What the fuck? If you're willing to enter into a formal partnership, then every time you come to the police station, I'll only charge you £1. Of course, not for the cases that are serious. You have to understand that a large portion of the fees I charge will go to the office. It's as if I will frequently be invited to the police station for some coffee in the future." Pui. Oh, pui? Like, it's a bad omen, so you're spitting out the bad omen. It's a professional. Hello, Merlin. And as if I would frequently be invited, yeah. They don't even give coffee. There isn't even a cup of water. Really? Before Klein could answer, he heard Jurgen add, "For a private detective, getting in and out of the police station is something that happens every once in a while. It's an occupational hazard. Well, I know very well that every private detective has a problem with the illegal bearing of arms and the legal trespassing in other people's homes." I mean, it's weird that they let Klein go, because isn't it a stereotype that, or isn't it like well known that police don't like private detectives? And I feel like they would, you know, be really happy to press charges on anything against them to get rid of them. So I think Jurgen had to do something like Jurgen like maybe thought, oh, it was a illegal arrest or something, like, but he's not telling that to Klein. The only thing he said to Klein is, "Oh, you're free. Oh, they know you. You're free, right? I will take care." Because ego, man. Police have ego. Because they're in a position of authority, and when someone questions that authority, they get their feelings hurt, right? I will take care. I mean, it was mentioned as well that police doesn't like private detectives because they take their jobs. And because they sometimes cause more problems. Your response this time was very good. The police couldn't find enough evidence to prove that you were bearing a gun illegally, and the explanation of the gunpowder reaction on your body was quite sufficient. The name Kulaikla was enough to convince them. Ah, okay, now he's getting an explanation, I see. Otherwise, you most likely won't have had to go to the magistrate's court. Really? So you're not a suspect, but a good citizen who picked up a gun and handed it in, so there was no need for a body search. Oh wow, okay. Alright, but I lost the revolver and the corresponding bullets. That's several pounds. And there's also the lawyer's fee. Klein squeezed out a smile. Fucking fake smile. Bro is like... But he's crying inside because he has to buy a new gun again, dude. Oh my god, absolute cinema. At least he's acting like a clown. Fake smile is like a clown, right? Understand, lawyer Jurgen. Let's establish a formal partnership. The corner of Jurgen's mouth twitched. With an extremely professional smile, he extended his hand and said, "I hope for a pleasant partnership. I sincerely hope that I don't have to see you too often for the police station. That's not something that's up to me to decide." Klein gave a self-deprecating laugh. Interesting. Jurgen has another client, like a client-lawyer relationship, a long-term one. I wonder, like, I want to learn more about Jurgen. He seems really interesting person. First of all, he has no social awareness, as in, he seems so serious and monotone. It's kind of like how Fry was, but he speaks professionally and he knows his stuff. I guess maybe he's like that because he doesn't want to be our friend. He sees this more as like client and lawyer relationship, of course. But is Jurgen with all the people like that? With, you know, his parents, his friends? Back at 15 Minsk Street, Klein eased himself with a hot bath, but at the moment he once again heard illusory prayers coming from a woman, Audrey. "Miss Justice, is there a clue regarding Lanevus?" Klein suddenly jumped out of the bathtub, quickly dried his body, put on his clothes, and went above the grey fog. Staring at the constantly expanding and shrinking crimson star, he extended his spirituality and chose to listen. "The Fool, that doesn't belong to this era. Honorable Mr. Fool, there's been a problem with the investigation of Lanevus." Justice, who was wearing a white gown for unknown reason, recounted the explosion that happened on Taravi Street in East Borough, as well as Gavin's drowning. As a telepathist who had already gained some mastery, she didn't have her own guesses, lest it affects the judgment of Mr. Fool. After listening carefully, Klein frowned, feeling that the killer's reaction was unimaginably extreme. Unlike Vice Admiral Chilangos, Lane was a swindler, would immediately move if he discovered anything was amiss. I mean, it's because Lane was a big group backing him, right? Aurora Order, and also the problem with Lane is that he's plotting something new, right? And I wonder, like, what is the new scheme? There's nothing, no clues we can go off so far, I think. The only thing I can think of is, like, you know, Mr. A immediately, like, accepting Bakerland's assassination. That's maybe because, you know, he's a lunatic, but maybe Lanevus and they are planning a war, to set up, like, a war between nations, between Loen Kingdom and the Intis Republic, so they can benefit from the war somehow, right? Line needs friends, exactly, man. Exactly. Don't worry, he has the world. Line spoke to himself for 8 minutes about the Grey Fog. I'm just reminding you guys. Unlike Vice, yeah. According to his standard, 80% of East Borough County. Oh wait, let me write it down actually. Sorry, I'm yapping so much, man. Can you guys let me know if you like me yapping, because we are getting through these chapters really slowly. 46, Canevus and Aurora Order want to start a war. Talking to himself and praying to himself, yeah. There's no reason, that should be his professional instinct. There's no reason to follow the clues in reverse and kill those who are seeking him. According to his standard, 80% of East Borough bounty hunters will die. This will cause a sensation and cause the case to be taken over by Nighthawks, Mandate Punishers, or Machinery Hive Mind. I think maybe he wants that. He wants as much as chaos as possible. Has the benefits Lanevus gained from the ritual of praying to the True Creator to send his son down left him mad? It's very consistent with the style of the True Creator. However, the problem lies with the fact that it will be difficult for a lunatic to hide himself. Apart from the potential, Klein fell into deep thought and was in no hurry to respond to misjustice. He had read the newspapers and known about the explosion, so he used the dream divination to recall the details. Ooh, smart. Maybe it's too long past and you don't have enough relevant information though. He wrote down a new divination statement, clues to the explosion in Taravi Street. As he recited silently, he leaned back in his chair, entered the dream. He saw a 3-story grayish-blue apartment. Okay, we're gonna see actually. On the third floor of the apartment, the room had lost its windows and half the wall has been destroyed. It was filled with signs of an explosion. The scene quickly shattered. Klein woke up from his reverie as he tapped the edge of the table and thought to himself. The clues are at the scene of the crime. This revelation can also mean that the murderer is still watching the crime scene and wants to finish off the person who comes to investigate the matter. Oh my god, dangerous. Yes, this will give him a chance to find the person who recently issued the bounty for Lanevus. I'll visit the crime scene in disguise and see if I can find the killer. Oh, that's so dangerous. Miss Bodyguard? Another 1,000 pounds? To Miss Bodyguard? Issued the bounty for Lanevus. I'll visit the crime scene in disguise and see if I can find the killer. Even if he isn't Lanevus, he most surely can be connected to Lanevus. Don't mess with Mr. A. I think it's Mr. A. But he must have hidden himself very well. How can I find him without attracting his attention? A thought flashed as Klein's eyes was cast onto the all-black eye on the long bronze table. This was beyond the characteristic left behind by marionettist Rosago. Marionettist sounds so cool, by the way. Like, I wish that it's like Puppet Master, but like marionettist. I don't know. Which one do you prefer, Puppet Master or marionettist? Which has more aura? In the real world, again, I can't use this item to manipulate those strange dreads because of the residual mental corruption from the True Creator. There will be irreversible harm after interacting with it for a certain amount of time. However, if it was used temporarily, I can use the dreads to find a hidden person. Maybe there's a time limit. That's something acceptable. It's just like how I used to determine if Miss Bodyguard had left previously. Klein narrowed his eyes, removed his spirit pendulum, and divined if his trip would be dangerous. Rosago has more aura. Clown Rosago. True, actually. The answer was positive, but the amplitude and frequency of the spinning weren't excessive. So there is dangerous, but it's not as dangerous, but maybe because you're gonna hire Sharon? Or, okay, question. It says it's relatively dangerous. If he hires Sharon, is he gonna say not dangerous because... No, it's still gonna say dangerous, right? It doesn't matter if he's protected or not. Okay. That's acceptable. Klein was silent for a few seconds before returning to the real world. Then, by summoning himself, he placed the all-black eye into the iron cigar case and brought it back to his bedroom. After changing his clothes, taking his beard on, and getting ready, Klein came before the mirror and examined himself. The faint scholarly vibe that he had completely concealed by the beard on his face, and his brown eyes seemed to be like an ancient pool which hid and sealed something within. I think Bro is not fooling anyone with this disguise, though. I mean, it's gonna work based on NPCs, but we'll see. Compared to when he was in Tingen, Klein almost didn't recognize himself. Ooh. One by one, he stretched out his fingers and clenched them into a fist. Looking at the mirror, he said in a low and hoarse voice, "Captain, this is the first step to avenging both of you and me. Let's fucking go! None of us is gonna die soon in a cutter. None of us is gonna die in some random alleyway. Executed." Before he finished his sentence, he saw himself grinning in the mirror, a brilliant smile on his face. Oh, like a clown, man. Let the hunt begin. Oh, that's so true. Let's go. Hunt begins right now. I wonder if we're gonna get Sharon hired again. Yeah, Rosago is underestimated, but you can't really blame him, right? Let the hunt begin. He smiled. That's actually like kind of scary though. Anyway, let's continue. Like we are ready to execute Lonevus. 1 second, guys. Okay, let's go. In the suburbs west of North Borough, a soon-to-be abandoned 3-story house. Originally belonged to the Backland Medical School, but the latter main campus had now moved to a better and more suitable location, leaving behind only a small number of teaching staff and students who were left guarding the area after failing to graduate. Audrey was wearing a white gown and white mask. Her smooth blonde hair was also coiled up and stuffed under a cool-colored surgical cap. She darted her eyes to hide and looked at Force Wall, who was dressed in the same way. She always felt that Force had a special temperament that seemed to make her more suited for such attires than herself. Oh, I see. It's like the kind of temperament that allows her to pick up a scalpel and cut open a patient's stomach at any moment. Audrey didn't say anything. She followed half a step behind Force as they entered the classroom in front of them. She was startled by information she had received from Force because Mr. Fool had said it was a simple task. I mean, what can they do? This kind of villain just run out of luck and choose the MC as a target? Exactly, yeah. Like, it's just skill issued. You got skill issued, right? I mean, if it was Klein going against like a sequence 8 Beyonder, he would plan more, right? Let's say Klein was marionettist and he was going against like sequence 8. He thinks it's sequence 9, right? Because sequence 8 was a secret or even like non-Beyonder. I don't think Klein would plan that hard, actually. Interesting. Maybe Rosago wasn't a fraud all along. You know, it was just unfortunate that he faced Klein. I think that's more likely. So they have like a surgical gowns on, right? And considering that the simplicity of said task might be from Mr. Fool's point of view, Audrey took advantage of the moment when she was alone, changing into disguise to recite his honorific name and silently pray so as to report everything that had exactly happened. However, she had yet to receive a response. Yeah, exactly, Nguyen. Exactly, yeah. Oh, that's actually, if you like write it out like that, that's so sad, man. Every time it reminds me of I leaked DMs again, bro. It reminds me of this smile when like with Benson and Melissa. After passing, Morg, through the door and entering a room, Audrey instinctively looked around and found that this wasn't any ordinary classroom. There were actual 4 skeleton specimens and 4 coffins made of glass. The coffins were filled with pale, naked corpses that were soaked in preserving agents. Ew! At the very top of the classroom, there was a transparent glass pillar that was also filled with a liquid. Floating inside was a male corpse that wore a black scholarly robe. Is this foreshadowing? The corpse glove stuck tightly to its body, giving off an extremely heavy feeling. He didn't relax and simply floated upright in the middle. It's as if he had died by drowning instead of being placed in there after his death. Audrey made her a preliminary judgment based on her attitude as a spectator. Nice observation, Audrey. In addition, she saw a number of men in white coats and white masks and surgical caps sitting around the long tables in the room. None of them said a word, just like the bodies and the bones around them. What if they like use some homeless people for, you know, science? That's so fucked up. Looking at the crimson moon, which had finally peeked out of the gloomy darkness, Audrey turned her head back to look at the scene inside the classroom. For a moment, she couldn't help but shudder as this place instilled an instinctive fear. At the same time, she felt excited and agitated. This is what the life of a Beyonder should be, Audrey silently muttered to herself as she followed the force to corner before sitting down. After waiting for a while, the floating black-clothed male corpse inside the upright glass pillar at the front of the classroom suddenly opened his eyes. His voice transmitted through the layers of obstructions. Oh, like a zombie? Let's begin. What the fuck? That's a teacher! Wait, what the fuck? That's actually insane. What Beyonder is that, bro? Maybe someone controlling the body and speaking through the zombie. Maybe that's more likely, actually. Why would you chill in that water container then? Yeah, why would you chill there? Like, being controlled, right? Yeah. Yeah. I think it's more likely. I don't think the Beyonder person himself is in that tank. I think someone is just controlling the zombie. Someone on the corpse collector pathway, maybe? Sailor pathway? But why would you be but it doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would he be chilling inside the water tank? Right? Eastboro, Tarabi Street. Okay, so this client investigating. For aura. Yeah, for aura. Because he can. Why? That's so funny, dude. Eastboro, Tarabi Street. In his dusty grayish-blue worker uniform and cap, he walked along the dark streets that only had a few gas lamps that were still working. There was a candlelight shining down from the various apartments on both sides of the street. This was combined with the crimson moonlight that passed through the clouds with great difficulty, and they barely outlined the silhouettes of the pedestrians. Klein encountered people with old, tattered clothes, their faces numb with despair. They were the homeless who had been chased away by the police. That's insane. I feel like there's a lot of like nasty stuff going on with the homeless people, because like if you kill a homeless person or use homeless person for like not divination, sorry, for not cultivation either, for your like sequence advancement, maybe you need like, you know, human ingredients or something. Nobody's gonna bat an eye if a homeless person dies, right? Unless they have like family, but usually they're like poor people. Nobody cares, right? That's the sad part, right? They had no place to sleep, so they wandered aimlessly through the streets. Occasionally they would find some inconspicuous corner or park bench to rest on for a while, but they were soon chased away again. Where do they go? Where should the homeless... Like, listen, when people say, oh, we should get rid of homeless people, you know, I think, oh, housing, let's house the homeless. Instead, no, let's kill the homeless. In the cold and dark night, Klein felt that they were more like zombies than the zombies he had seen. That's so suspicious, though. That's actually so suspicious. An entire East Borough was more like an abyss than the legendary abyss. He hurriedly took a quick breath which hurt his throat, causing him to cough involuntarily. Is it the smoke? Wait, but can you see the smoke at nighttime? Wait, the homeless people were like zombies because they're sleep deprived. But oh, maybe this area is like has a lot of fucking smoke because of the factories and stuff, right? I'm gonna note this. I low key think that the smoke, there's more to smoke than just it being like from factories, right? Like from factory like thing, because shouldn't the smoke always be there? I don't know, because I live in one of the places where there's no pollution at all. But shouldn't the smoke always be there? Maybe it is, but Klein is not mentioning it. I'm just probably overthinking. I'm overthinking. He quickly gathered his thoughts and looked through the corner of his eyes at the apartment on the corner of the street. He had obviously suffered from an explosion and hadn't been repaired yet. Because, like, I think it's pretty, like, usual for homeless people to, like, and people who are, like, sleep deprived to act like zombies, right? Place to monitor the crime scene in the apartment across the street. The third and fourth story and the roof all met these requirements. Klein analyzed the situation with the knowledge he had learned as a Nighthawk. Throughout the whole process, he didn't slow down his pace to avoid arousing suspicion. At the end of the street, Klein smoothly crossed the apartment building numbered 1 and entered the building across the street from the crime scene. The one-bedroom apartment he had entered in East Borough was similar to his apartment. He had also lived in the apartment of slightly higher class with his brother Benson and sister Melissa in Dingen City for quite some long time. It was Klein's personal experience, but it also came from the memory fragments of the original Klein. As his thoughts raced, Klein lowered his cap, lowered his head, and without rushing, he walked up the cracking stairs to the third floor. Due to his unlucky encounter in the evening, he no longer had a revolver, so all he could do was stick one hand in his pocket and hold a few dart cards in between his fingers. It was relatively dangerous, right? So I don't think Mr. A is gonna come here, but there might be some like Aurora or their goons, right? There was no light other than the faint moonlight in the corridor of the third floor. Klein was in no hurry to move forward, so he carefully observed the layout. The spot directly across the crime scene is on the left. The one with the best view of the surveillance will be third room from here. Klein began to walk slowly and carefully. After walking past 2 rooms, he also inserted his right hand into his pocket and gently opened the iron cigar case. After a split second, his fingers touched the all-black eye, and the murmurs resounded in his ears as they attempted to tear his mind apart. Oh god, scary. Because he's touching the beyond item that's cursed or corrupted. They can't use. At the same time, with the help of his corrupted item, Klein saw many strange black lines. Ooh, like marionettist. His thin lines floated in the air. Although they were intertwined and tangled a little, he could still distinguish who they belonged to if he traced them back to the source. The corresponding figures were reflected in Klein's soon-to-be cooked brain. There were men, women, and children sleeping in the bunk beds, and several tenants lying in the bed on the floor. Other than that, there were no other special spots, nor were there any hidden figures. The illusion in front of him and the auditory hallucination, the ears slowly improved as Klein quickly retracted his hand from the all-black eye. He entered the bane as he continued to move forward. Once he felt some relief, he would immediately observe the other room. What's up, Strawberry? Unfortunately, his efforts for searching the entire apartment to see if there were any places that allowed the observation of the crime scene was in vain. Klein covered his corner of a balcony. His hands were on his knees as he panted heavily. Because, you know, it's very hard to use the ear. Please do not lose control. That was the result of his repeated contact with the all-black eye with a short period of time. Even with Klein's resistance in this area, he wasn't completely immune to it. Sorry, I skipped a line. Tears streamed from the corners of his eyes, and from time to time the nose would run as if he had fallen sick. The only thing that satisfied him was that it only agitated him and didn't corrupt him. Otherwise, he would have given up long ago and wouldn't have dared to try again. That would have led directly to devolving into madness. Exactly, yeah. After resisting for a while, Klein finally calmed down and switched to a different apartment that didn't have the same view as this one, but it was still for naught. Did I interpret it wrong? The clues are the scene of the clues are at the scene of the crime. And Klein returned to the street. I mean, I think you have to be like more you have to be more like on the money, if you know what I mean. Like you have to be at the right place. Like maybe try to enter William's apartment. When Klein returned to the street, he looked suspiciously out of the corner of his eye at the apartment with traces of an explosion. Just maybe look outside, because, you know, if it was Mr. A, he appeared outside the window. Maybe, like, check for signs and clues outside the window. He wanted to see if anyone was hiding in the apartment where the crime scene was located. With a hum, Klein's head suddenly felt like it was being smashed as his body wobbled a little. Oh, God. Like a drunkard, he staggered forward and looked at the apartment, which had signs of explosion. As he was too far away, he couldn't clearly see the black lines, nor could he trace the source of the black lines. He could only barely distinguish where the black lines had gathered, and this indicated that there was someone present. Okay, so maybe like a goon, like not Mr. A himself, but like an Aurora Order goon that was like set to guard the place or something like that. No. Klein quickly swept the area and made a rough judgment. Suddenly noticed a black line floating out from the crime scene on the 3rd floor, which merged into thin air. This, Klein's pupils shrank. Oh yeah, marionette is like there's someone there, right? They made a confirmation before quickly withdrawing his hands so as to stop being in contact with the all-black eye. There's someone in the destroyed room. That murderer is actually crazy enough to wait for investigators to come to the crime scene. No, it's not. If it was the murderer, if it was Mr. A, he would be a really high sequence beyonder. And it's not him, you would lose to him. So the divination you did won't be, you know, relatively dangerous. It will be like, shh, like very dangerous, you know what I mean? Isn't he afraid that the official beyonders will take over the case? I made a wrong judgment and failed to find him because I shared a different sense of logic from that of a lunatic. Exactly, Aurora Order. They're fucking lunatics. Many thoughts flashed through Klein's mind as he slowly exhaled and pretended that nothing had happened, whilst he walked in a circle until he reached the entrance of the apartment building. By then, all the negative effects he had suffered from the all-black eye had been quelled. Controlling his facial expressions and body language, Klein headed up to the 3rd floor as if he were going home, his footsteps quickly and heavy with fatigue. Oh, smart. That's smart. You want to let him know you're coming. In the darkness of the corridor, he caught sight of the doorless room which had its walls collapsed, and he casually headed for its public bathroom. As he neared the room, his hands, which had been in his pocket, touched the all-black eye. Again, the mind-wreckling murmurs and the blurred hallucinations assaulted him. Through the corners of his eyes, Klein saw a black, illusory thread spread out from the crime scene. Someone in the closet waiting for Klein. As he traced the source, he found a man who had completely merged into the shadows. His aura was the same color. Ooh, we got him, guys. He was extremely tall. Oh, it's Mr. A. Never mind, I was wrong. No, never mind, maybe not. Almost 2 meters in height, the corner of his mouth drooped slightly, making him appear rather eccentric. What is goofy music? His cold eyes were like those of a wild beast, possessing a ferocity that couldn't be hidden. It's not Lanevus. Klein withdrew his fingers, relaxed his body, and avoided the likelihood of staring. He entered the public bathroom at the end of the corridor without stopping, nor did he alarm the man. Wasn't Aurora Order also 2 meters... Sorry, not Aurora Order. Mr. A also 2 meters tall? What's up, Enner? The public bathroom and the crime scene weren't on the same side. He wiped off his cold sweat, and after quelling the negative effects, he directly jumped out the window, climbing down skillfully before leaving with brisk steps. He didn't stay a moment longer. The thing with Aurora Order and being lunatics, like, you can never, like, predict their next move, right? Like, I didn't expect Mr. A to be here, but he might have as well been, right? I thought some, like, other, like, Aurora Order goon was here, but no. I knew that in a few minutes the man would be alerted to the absence of someone who had gone to the bathroom, so he had to get as far away from the street as possible. If it wasn't that Klein didn't want to walk back the way he came from, but if he didn't know which room he would go to, it would be similarly expose him. The clown quickly ran and circled around a huge area before entering that one-bedroom apartment he had rented in his borough. He then went about the grey fog to confirm that there was no danger of him being caught. That fellow must have had some sort of deep connection with Lonevus. After a moment's thought, Klein conjured the portrait of the man from earlier, sending his thoughts to be crimson star that represented misjustice. Soon after, he said solemnly in a tone of authority, "This is a clue." Oh, come on, don't fucking blue ball me like that. Imagine reading like every day, like waiting for a new one to come out. Yeah. It's just Mr. A. It's just, there's no other, or this is like a new character after all, but it must be Mr. A. How tall was Capian? How tall was Capian? Was Capian 2 meters? Mr. A was very beautiful, so if this person was, 2 chapters a day? Damn, he was overworking. What the fuck? Then we have manga. In manga, you have to also color and draw, right? Anyway. Maybe not Mr. A, but tall-ass person. Did I write down Kapim's, what was his length? How do I, view, how do I see my bookmarks? Tags? No. Capim's length. Oh, here we go. Bookmarks. What? The colors, your highlights. Okay. He called himself Mr. Door and okay, wait, let's go down. Isengard tell Capim not to send anyone. So it's not or Mr. A. We don't know Capim's length. Interesting. Anyway. Go back. 282. Ah! There we go. So, no, I don't think Capim's a beyonder is like a business tycoon, so why would he be there? Maybe it's another like Aurora or other goon. I guess we're gonna find out. I'm gonna go B. Be right back, guys. Nice, Masters. can't hear anything. What the frick? Hello? Why can't I hear the music? What the hell? Can hear now. Okay, let's continue. The man was extremely tall. Okay. Inside the soon-to-be abandoned medical school building, Audrey suddenly felt adrift as she took a detour to leave the gathering which had just ended. She saw the familiar thick grey fog and the blurry figure situated in the center high above. This is a clue. Accompanying Mr. Full's solemn voice for the scenes that looked like a film reel, a colored attack. Oh! The man wasn't particularly muscular but was nearly 2 meters tall in height, was wearing a black priest robe. Has to be Mr. A! And standing in the shadows, maybe client didn't see his face. Light yellow hair was light yellow, slightly curled, and his dark brown eyes were cold with malice. The corners of his mouth drooped slightly, making him look like a ferocious wolf. Never mind. Werewolf? Sending memory fragments? That's crazy though. That's so cool. Yeah, I just glanced over that. First time? Let me think. First time? A clue? Okay, the bombing of East Borough, Deravi Street, and Kavin's drowning. Who has blonde hair or yellow hair? Wait. Mr. A didn't have. Werewolf? There's a sequence werewolf? Wait, let me check the notes. No. How did I have written down? Serial killer? A clue, the bombing of East Borough, Deravi Street. It's a lunatic, so Aurora order, but a Kavin's drowning. Is this the murder? Audrey stared blankly for a moment before immediately coming to an understanding. Mr. Full has already found a clue. It's really impressive. No, he's omnipotent. After sighing to herself, she turned to look at Force. As soon as Force removed her mask and surgical cap and got into a garage, she noticed Miss Audrey's slightly strange gaze. She immediately asked in puzzlement, "Is there something on my face?" Nope. Audrey looked away and sat down before removing her disguise. Yeah, Audrey, you have to lock in. You can't be looking like that, you know? You're suspicious. Force recalled the gathering and asked curiously, "Miss Audrey, why didn't you announce that you were purchasing the Spectator formula? You would have established contact with a psychology alchemist that way." Remember that the generous Miss Audrey had remained silent most of the time and only sold some spirituality-infused materials and responded to buying other varieties accordingly. Audrey smiled faintly and said, "This is my first gathering in the circle. I think it's more important to observe and wait." Yeah, aren't we all observers at the end of the day, you know? That's the smartest way to do it. I'm looking forward to the potion formula and even more so the mystical items, but I told myself that there's no rush. It will be better strategy to familiarize myself before taking action. It's also a professional habit after Spectre pathway. Moreover, there were no beyonder ingredients like dark patterned blank panther spinal fluid or spring of the Alice marrow crystals, which Mr. World wishes to obtain, Audrey silently added. Looking at the girl who wasn't 18 yet, Force suddenly felt that she was more mature than ever before. That's good. I love Audrey, like, being so serious and thoughtful. I'm guessing it's also because of her, like, sequence, but I think she has also matured as a person through this, right? She suddenly laughed at herself and said, if I hadn't been like you back then, I wouldn't have wasted such a precious opportunity." Audrey gave a surveyed smile as a response before saying, "I'll ask some special friends in the morning if they have any leads on the Ravi Street bombing. Wait for the information at the same place with Chio." Alright, Force nodded without any doubts. Instead of returning to Main Street, Klein slept in the... So, memory fragments. That's really cool, actually. Huh. Klein slept in the one bedroom apartment in East Borough, Black Bond Street. He was afraid that the suspected murderer in the black priest robe had accomplices who could be searching the streets for him. Now I'm wondering, by the way, if we can somehow make it so Derek can send Klein memory fragments so we can actually see more of the City of Silver, right? Although the probability of meeting him wasn't high and he had disguised himself ahead of time, so it was unlikely he would be recognized, his divination indicated that there was a possibility to be cautious. Klein made due and decided to spend the night at East Borough. At dawn, he changed into another dark blue worker's uniform, put on a light brown cap and left the room. He went down the stairs and into the street. At that moment, the white fog, the yellowish tint, shrouded the surroundings. Why does it keep coming? I swear to God, bro. I swear to God, the smoke is making people into fucking zombies, dude. There were blurry figures of people passing by and the cold morning air was soaking into their clothes. Every time I see the fucking smoke, I'm writing it down, bro. I had enough of this whatever smog. I lowered his head and heard along just like the people around him who had gotten up early for work. Oh, because it's the morning. Never mind. Why does the fog come out in the morning though? Is it because of the sun? You can see it better because the sun is like rising. While walking, he saw a man in his 40s or 50s ahead of him. He wore a thick jacket and had grey hair around his temples. Does he also have a receding hairline, Klein? He was pacing in place and fumbling for a cigarette while shivering. Finally, he took out a box of empty matches in his clothes inner's pocket. Just as he opened the matchbox, his right hand quivered and the crumbled cigarette fell on the ground and rolled in front of Klein. Oh, poor people. Klein stopped, picked it up and handed it to him. Humidity. If your stream is delayed, just refresh. Right? Humidity makes the smoke like visible then. That makes sense why there's fog in the morning where I live, right? But then again, that fog is naturally caused by water, right? But the smoke or the smog or the whatever they have in Backland, it's caused by factories and pollution, so it has to be different, no? Like, shouldn't there be a permanent smog? I guess the yellowish tint. So I'm guessing maybe the fog is natural, but it has a yellowish tint to it because of all the pollution. And you cannot see the smog unless there's fog. I'm guessing. Maybe. It's permanent? Okay. I guess I'm overthinking. I'll keep it there just in case then. And the crumbled cigarette fell to the ground and rolled back in front of Klein. Klein stopped and picked it up and handed it to him. Okay. Helping an old man. Thank you. I can't live without this old friend. Only a few left. The man thanked him sincerely and accepted the cigarette. His face was pale and he appeared to not have shaved for quite a while. Exhaustion was expressed without reserve from the corner of his eyes as he lamented. I haven't slept for another night. I don't know how long I can last. I hope the Lord will bless me so I can enter a workhouse today. It's crazy, by the way. They are not letting people... Would you be a good physicist? I will be a shit physicist. That's funny. They're not letting people sleep, the homeless people. They're not letting them do anything. It's like the rich want homeless people to be gone, but instead of like making the city the better place to live, they're just killing the homeless people. Surely that's not gonna backfire, right? Surely. Government sends nutrients through the air. Yeah, right. Funny. That's so funny though. You're joking, right? His face was pale and appeared to not have shade for quite a while. Exhaustion was expressed without reserve from the corner of his eyes as he lamented. I haven't slept for another night. I don't know how long I can last. I hope the Lord will bless me so I can enter the workhouse today. He's a homeless person who has been chased away. Glenn casually asked, why doesn't the king and ministers allow you to sleep in the park? Who knows, but to sleep in this kind of weather outside, it's very likely that you'll never wake up again. It's still better in the day since you can find a warmer place. Ugh, but this will make us lack in the time of strength to look for jobs. The man lit a cigarette and sucked at it delightfully. That's not a sentence I want to know, but yeah, I do feel like the system is against homeless people, right? And there should be a social reformer. Is it not the best solution? You're rage baiting, Fenber. Social reformer? Thank you, that's a good compliment, actually. It's because they don't want the homeless. It's like overpopulated, you know? Instead of like helping them and making better conditions for the homeless, they are getting rid of them, or it just can be as simple as they don't care. As though he had some of his strength restored and he walked beside Klein, he was uncertain if his destination was at the end of the fog or somewhere deep into the fog. Damn. Klein had no intention of exchanging pleasantries and he was about to speed away from him. I mean, every interaction has a purpose, right? In this novel. It's not like Klein just randomly talked to this guy. Like, he talked to him to get context and ask him about the why can't he sleep in the park, and it find out it's like, oh, it's basically banned, and because of the weather is shit, so you might die in your sleep. But then again, interesting. Maybe that's the excuse the police will give you. Like, oh, you can't sleep here, you will die. I mean, that's not true. Anyway. Like, I had no intention of changing pleasantries and was about to speed away from him when he saw the man who had spoken clearly bend down and pick up a dark object from the ground. It looked like an apple core that had been nibbled clean. The man swallowed his saliva before stuffing the dirt-covered fruit core into his mouth. Oh, it's so sad, man. He chewed it until it was smashed up before swallowing it down with a great familiarity. Nothing was left. Looking at Klein's surprised eyes, he wiped his mouth, shrugged his shoulders, and smiled bitterly. Aw, poor guy, man. I haven't eaten in almost 3 days. The sentence struck Klein's heart, causing him to feel indescribably moved. He silently sighed and said with a smile, sorry, I didn't introduce myself just now. I'm a reporter. Oh, smart. Another act. I'm currently writing about homeless people. Can I interview you? Let's go to the cafe up front. Oh, buy him food, and he's gonna spill all the beans. The man rose for a moment before he smiled and said, no problem, it's much warmer inside than on the street. If you can stay a little longer after the interview and let me sleep inside for half an hour, no, 15 minutes, that will be even better. Klein turned agape, momentarily at a loss for words. He just silently led his interviewee into the budget cafe. Budget cafe, that's funny, at the end of the street. He couldn't even go to, I guess this, this district doesn't have a good cafe. But it's still funny to read budget cafes, like, Klein doesn't want to spend money on the homeless person. Tables and chairs in the coffee shop were quite greasy. With the walls and windows inside, there were quite a few guests, and the average temperature was indeed much higher than the streets. The man scratched his throat, concealing his Adam's apple that was skirming from the fragrance. Klein motioned for him to sit down and went to order 2 large cups of tea and a plate of lamb stewed with young peas. Young peas? It sounds like a... Young peas sounds like a band. 2 loaves of bread, 2 pieces of toast, serving of low quality butter, and serving of artificial cream for a total of 17.5 pence. Have some food to eat. We'll have the interview after you eat your fill. Once the food was ready, Klein carried them back to the table. This is for me? The man asked with anticipation and surprise. Except for a piece of toast and a cup of tea, the rest is yours. Klein smiled in response. The man wiped his eyes and said, with a slightly choked voice, you truly are a kind-hearted person. After starving for so long, make sure to not eat too quickly, Klein warned. I know, I have an old buddy who died just like that. Oh my god, they are like, some Beyonder in this city are using homeless people for some kind of thing, right? Okay. This is a I think this is like obviously, like, oh, it makes sense. It's reasonable to assume that homeless people are just dying because, you know, they're not getting any sleep and they are deprived of food and they are overworked. But what if they're actually being, you know, used for some beyonder who's like deliberately making it all happen to like maybe like I don't know, maybe he needs to kill so many people to advance in a sequence or something like that, because I talked about that previously as well, how maybe like sequence 1 potion needs you to have like, I don't know, beyonder characteristics, not beyonder characteristics, but like human, like 1,000 human corpses or something like that, or a ritual will be like a genocide. Let's say the criminal pathway, you know, the criminal pathway ritual to advance to a higher sequence would be like a massacre or like a genocide or something like that. And that's why they are disappearing and killing. Or blood sacrifice for evil gods. Yeah, exactly. Sequence 0 advancement ritual, genocide, right? I can't believe Sequence 0 exists, by the way. Holy. Damn, that was such a doozy, man. I know, I had an old buddy who died just like that. The middle-aged man worked hard at eating at a slower pace, occasionally lifting his cup of tea and gulping it down. Glenn easily finished the dose and watched quietly, waiting for the man to finish his meal. Ugh, I haven't eaten until I was this full in 3 months, no, half a year in the workhouse. The wood, the gear is just enough. After a while, the man put down his spoon, leaving empty plates in front of him. Pretending to be a journalist, Glenn asked casually, how did you become a tramp? Tramp sounds like a slur. Coco figured Sequence 0 instantly from the anime. Is it because of Grade 0 artifacts? Right, but like I did not think about that, because Grade 0 is Grade 0, Grade 1, Grade 2, Grade 3, Grade 4. Then I didn't think they are tied to sequences, because, you know, there's no Grade 5, there's no Grade 6. Just got spoiled? Oh. How did you become a tramp? It was a bad luck. I was originally a worker leading quite a good life. I had a wife, 2 cute children, a boy and a girl, but a few years ago an infectious disease took them away. Was it the smoke, perhaps? And I also stayed in the hospital for a long period of time, losing my job, my wealth, and my family in the process. From then on, I often couldn't find a job, and I didn't have any money to rent a house or buy food. Okay, I'm writing that down. "47. The smoke of Backland is causing a serious illness and is affecting lower class people the most." Maybe it's not on purpose, but maybe purpose? Purposeful? Is the word purposeful? Purposeful? Purposeful. What the fuck? Oh, purposeful. Okay, there we go. But additional power system, they don't reveal anything from the start. Yeah, but that's metagaming. Yeah, that's metagaming. That's that's metagaming. I mean, Coco also takes like 100 guesses, and I'll also take 100 guesses, but I feel like he's right more than me, because he's actually smart. Sometimes just a society, yeah. That's why I put purposeful in the question mark, because, you know, the smoke causes cancer anyway. But in this world, what if the smoke, like the factory is using some chemicals that make disease more dreadful, and it's not even on purpose, right? Anyway. Today I have a femboy monster. I'm practicing for my Trissy cosplay. Beyonders are rare after all, exactly. Yeah. 1 in a 10,000 or something. Maybe I don't know, but someone said 1 in 10,000, maybe even more. I often couldn't find a job, and I didn't have any money to rent a house or buy food. All I could do was wander on the streets In certain parks, it's made me very weak, making it harder for him to find a job. The man spoke with a hint of nostalgia and sadness in his numbness. He took a sip of his tea, sighed, and spoke again. I can only wait for an opportunity to enter the workhouse, but as you know, every workhouse only takes in a limited number of people. That overpopulation, right? Overpopulation. As you know, every workhouse only takes a limited number of people with good luck, and if I queue up in time, I can spend a few days in peace, recover my strength a little, and then find a temporary job. Yeah, temporary job. Soon, I'll be jobless again, and the previous process will be repeated. I have no idea how much longer I can last like that. I should have been a good worker. Klein thought for a moment and asked, how many cigarettes do you have left? Not many. The middle-aged man smiled bitterly. This is the last of my assets. The only thing I have left after I was chased out by their landlord. One can bring them into the workhouse, but I'll secretly hide them in the seams of my clothes. I only take one out to smoke during my worst hardship so that I can have some hope. I don't know how long I can last, but I'll tell you, I was a good worker back then. I'm gonna cry, man. What the fuck? Like, people deserve better, man. People deserve better than just, you know, the system forces you to work, and then they don't even pay you enough money to live like the bare minimum, right? That's crazy, dude. I wasn't a professional journalist and was momentarily at loss to what to say. Klein turned his head to look out the window and saw faces with obvious hunger plastered across them. That's so depressing, man. I think Rear is empathetic, but Rear is just, you know, putting on a tough guy act. Problem is they don't have constant employment. Yeah. And it's done on purpose, by the way. The factories do that on purpose because then they can hire people who are struggling really hard, and they can pay them pennies because people are willing to work for that because they have nothing. It's like work for pennies or basically die, right? And because they have overpopulation, they can do that. They can pay the workers a very small wage because workers are replaceable, right? This is an obvious gap between the two. The former can easily become the latter. For example... Wait, what? Sorry, I'm so sorry. He turned his head to look out the window and saw faces with obvious hunger plastered across them. Some of them were relatively sober and they belonged to the residents of East Borough. Some of them wore looks of numbness and exhaustion, nothing like that of humans. They were tramps. There's no obvious gap between the two. The former can easily become the latter. For example, the gentleman in front of me. When Klein looked back, he discovered that the man had fallen asleep, his body curled up on a chair. Like you say, like, oh, you can say, by the way, and this is like some people say it, but nobody said it in the chat, so I'm glad. People say like, oh, just work harder. Just, you know, be a hard-working man. This guy's begging for a fucking job. This guy is a hard worker. Like, why shouldn't he... Oh, whatever. I'm not gonna crash out, dude. I hate when people defend billionaires because they call them hard workers, but they're literally just exposing other people's labor. Same thing can be said with the upper class in Backland. They're just born into it at this point, man. After a few minutes of silence, Klein went to bat the man awake and gave him a handful of copper pennies. Aw, nice guy, Klein. You shouldn't have... Oh, Klein, he felt bad. This is the payment for the interview. Okay, thank you. The man didn't realize what was happening, and when Klein reached the door, he raised his voice and said, I'll go to a budget motel and get a bath, get a good night's sleep, and get a job. Okay, I mean, good luck. Billionaires are billionaires for a reason. I don't think you understand how much a billion is compared to a millionaire's. At that point, billion is 1,000 millions. Billionaires only get there because they fucking English is stopping me, man. Because they use other people. Yeah, whatever, man. I'm not gonna speak anymore. English is like, literally, like I would be a good talker if my English wasn't this bad, bro. Exploit. Okay, there we go. Billionaires are only billionaires because they exploit people's work. Exactly. Fuck, man. Why did I forget the word exploit? And they also manipulate assets. Like you have, let's say you have 3 billion, you can easily just invest that because you cannot like, you can leave off the rest of the 2 billion, no problem. Anyway, let me just read. At the noon, Klein attended the party at Sammer's. There were 10 quests. Oh, this is Sunday. Oh, this is Sunday, right? You know what that means? Tomorrow is Monday. Imagine respecting billionaires, though. You will never be one. Like, you have more chance to be homeless than be a millionaire here. They deserve no respect. Anyway. At noon, Klein attended the party at the Sammers. There were 10 guests. There was apple juice with steak, roast chicken, fried fish, sausage, cream soup, lots of delicacies, 2 bottles of champagne, and bottle of red wine. On his way back from the bathroom, he met Mrs. Dell in Sammer. He thanked her sincerely. It was a sumptuous lunch, truly delightful. Thank you for your hospitality. Who are the guests, by the way? It cost a total of £4 and 8 solid. The most expensive were the 3 bottles of wine, but they were all part of Luke's collection. He has a liquor cabinet. What? Why would you say that? Why? Sammer is just flexing her wealth every single time, by the way. The pretty Miss Sammer Stellin smiled in response. Without waiting for Klein to speak, she said, You earn £10 on marriage matter alone, and if you can keep the good fortune, you'll soon be able to have a banquet like this. Nobody asked! For people of her class, you have to invite friends once a month and also be invited by friends. Klein already used her mannerisms obliged politely. Well, I'll have to wait till my income settles at £400 a year before I can be like you. Stellin immediately raised her chin slightly and tried hard to make her smile faint. £430, it must be £430. Oh my god. Dock area, East Palm Dock, Workers Alliance Tavern. Ooh, we're gonna see Chio again. Chio wore boots that gave her height a huge boost and stuck on a thick beard, making herself look like a short man. Nice. Even though she's wearing like huge boots, she's still short. She tried to recall the portrait from Miss Audrey, trying to engrave in her mind the image of the man who might have been the murderer. If Gavin had been killed by him, the murderer probably frequents this tavern. She ordered a glass of rye beer and lunch before huddling in a corner and eating slowly. From time to time, she would look around furtively in search of their target. I mean, obviously, like orders and others like also divine and stuff. So like, I feel like she's in a lot of danger, but I love her. She's such a badass. You know what I mean? With just one look, her pupils shrank to thin, that they resembled needles as she nearly became petrified. The patron who entered was nearly 2 meters tall. It's him! It's him! Who is this fucking guy? It's him! Anyway, the situation in Backland is very sad, by the way. Very sad. Have some wine, that one sip of yours socially cost £2, by the way. Just saying, figured you might want to know, you know. Exactly. Anyway. Let's continue. Sorry for ranting, by the way. I'm really opinionated. I hope you guys don't mind. Why do you have 2 open? There are 3.2 thousand billionaires. Money is not real, bro. Also, those billionaires like 30% of the world's wealth, by the way. I'm just saying. Let's continue. Let me change the song as well. Let Most of those like money though are in assets, and basically if they all sell at once, they will it will collapse. The system is literally broken, by the way. It can't. The system we have can't sustain for long. Just saying. Shio has been in the bounty hunter business for a very long time. Many things were done on instinct without any thought. So, how many 2-meter people out there, right? I don't hate Sammer, the flexing is funny. I know, right? How many people are 2 meters? Like 0.01% of population. So, it's very high chance it's him. When she saw the patron who entered was nearly 2 meters tall, she instinctively lowered her head and continued to eat pork sausage and french fries as if nothing had happened. Fucking french fries. Although, this should be just fries. There's nothing French about fries, by the way. I hate the French. Although the food entered her mouth, Chio didn't taste it all. She endured dozens of painful seconds before she slowly raised her head and pretended to look around casually. Soon she saw that patron who had just entered was sitting in front of the bar counter waiting for his booze and lunch. Soft, curly, pale yellow hair, dark brown, beast-like eyes, a slightly drooping mouth, and an aura of a solitude and malevolence. Little by little, the detail came into Chio's eyes, overlapping with the image in her head. It's him! It's a suspected murderer. It's the man who killed Williams. So definitely not Mr. A then. Funny narcissism? What's narcissism? Chio narcissism? Chio lowered her head again and slowly stuffed the rest of the food in her mouth. After a few minutes, she set the tray down in the bar along with the class and left the Workers' Alliance tavern without looking back. Drooping mouth, like werewolf. Due to her high boots, they effectively masked the most obvious feature of her body, being short. Outside, Chio slowed her pace and found a secluded spot to observe the people entering and exiting the tavern. I love this. We're like following Chio as a detective. That's so cool. After waiting for a while, she finally found an acquaintance, a technician named Burton, who lived in East Borough and worked in the East Balam dock. Okay. Technician named Burton. Big up the technician named Burton, guys. The young man liked to treat himself to a cup of shoddy rye beer at noon or in the afternoon, and his salary only allowed him to afford such a beer, and he couldn't drink it every day. Chio nimbly darted over and patted Burton on the shoulder. She lowered her voice and said, "It's me, Chio." Chio? Burton looked up and down at the short man and nearly failed to recognize him as the famous arbiter Chio Teresha of the streets of East Borough. "I have something to ask you." Chio pointed to an nearby corner. Burton followed in puzzlement, only to come to realization when he arrived in a secluded corner. "Are you doing a bounty mission?" He had heard that Chio was also a bounty hunter. "Yes." Chio nodded functionally, fished out 5 pennies and tossed him them around. "Do you know what that tall man? Do you know the tall man at the tavern?" "You mean the one that's all? You mean the one that's this tall, has pale yellow hair and wears a fierce look?" Burton gestured. "Yes. Oh, he knows him." Chio took out the folded portrait and unfolded it. "You have to be sure. That's him. He's been coming to this tavern often for the past 2 or 3 months. I've never. He came with Lanevus then. Wasn't Lanevus here 2 months ago? Wait, what's the date? Is it November? Can someone remind me the date right now? Is it November? 2 or 3 months ago. That makes sense. If it's at the end of September, then it makes sense, right? I've never seen him before that. He's very fierce, completely unreasonable, and he's good at fighting. It's best that you don't provoke him." Burton glanced at the portrait carefully and gave some sincere advice. "Yeah, when I saw that person just now, it was just like my encounter with a ferocious beast when I was young. I felt that I was in danger and wasn't a match for him, so I had to immediately avoid him." Shio secretly exhaled and asked, Do you know anyone he's in close contact with?" "What are the chances? Klein met him yesterday." Too many coincidences are no longer coincidences, by the way. I mean, yeah. No idea, he's not very sociable and seldom speaks. We don't even know what his name is. We have given him a nickname, Giant. Oh. Burton curled his lips and shook his head. Do you know what also a very aura name would be? Mountain. Chio thought for a while before asking, and where else have you met him besides the tavern? You can ask your friends the same question. Remember, I asked to be a trusted friend. Burton recalled and said, when I went to the dock union to do some work in the East Palam docks union, I would occasionally see him appear there. Chio, why aren't you a member of the union? You are so just, and those guys not only charge us 1.5 solely a week, but when the other dogs go on strike, they'll pay us half our salaries just because we have to support our families. Everyone should unionize, by the way. That's good. Unions are becoming a thing. That's great. Let's fucking go. Workers of the world unite. You know what I mean? Lord, let's just forget about it. In order to live a good life, you must help each other. However, once they organize a strike, they'll come to an agreement with the lawyers sent by those rich people. Our situation doesn't improve at all. Stop, Gio lowered their palm and said, apart from that, have you seen Giant anywhere else? Gio was like, I didn't ask you. Who asked? No, my friends probably haven't either. After all, we often discuss him in private, Burton answered in a firm tone. Gio didn't say anything more and gave him 5 copper pennies. Drinks on me. Don't tell anyone about what I just asked, it'd be very dangerous. Before she finished her sentence, she had already turned around the corner and headed toward Dock Union, located in East Palam Dock. About 10 minutes later, Gio saw the 2-story yellow building. She wore her canvas coat inverted and exposed the patches beneath, instantly transforming herself from a short worker to a tramp. Aw, she's so good, by the way. Gio is such a great fucking person. I love this. This is so fun. She looked at the homeless people. No, that's not fun, by the way. The homeless people are not fun, but yeah. Huddled around the corner and pinched her nose and went over to sit beside them. She glanced at the dock union on the opposite side of the street where people were coming in and out. As the minutes passed, Gio entered the cold and the harsh environment while tenaciously observing the situation around the dock union and surrounding area. She clearly remembered William's insistence on drinking, and she also remembered how she felt when she saw the newspaper that fateful day. These feelings made her even more patient than usual. Yeah, she's small, exactly. At that moment, about 8 people came out the dock union and they headed for a cafe across the street to have lunch in groups. Gio narrowed her eyes and carefully scanned every passerby to confirm their appearance. There's no one suspicious. Gio was about to look away and wait for the next batch of people, then the door the coffee shop creaked and was pulled open as the heat from within rushed out. A man couldn't help but take off his gold-rimmed glasses and wipe away the fog with his sleeves. Gold-rimmed glasses? Fine! No, wait. Maybe not. Gio gave him a casual glance and their gaze suddenly froze. Those eyes, that mouth. It's always had that taunting smile. Lanevus. Oh, it's Lanevus! Holy shit, it's Lanevus! Didn't Klein also have gold-rimmed glasses? It's fucking Lanevus! Gio jerked her head back and not daring to look again. The man from before had bronze skin and short hair, and his face was graggy. He was very different from their portraits, except that his eyes and mouth have a familiar feeling. It was a feeling of taunting everyone. Bro! Lanevus changed, his look, so Klein was right about that. He had to avoid bounty hunters. But it's him! The man, the myth, the legend, Lanevus! Soon to be dead in a fucking cutter, by the way. Klein is gonna execute him. I can't wait. Is it Lanevus? Can it be Lanevus? Gio bowed her head and stared at the flagstones on the street. Oh my god, we're gonna kill him soon! Public execution of Lanevus! At the Summers, after a sumptuous lunch, the host and guests gathered in the activity room to chat, and they agreed to play Texas poker. Yeah, let's play Texas poker. Interesting rumors and rumorous stories echoed intermittently as Klein maintained his smile, interjecting, I wanna go back, man! The fraud, the scammer, the thief, the swindler. Taunting, though. Sheesh. What a dude, he's so smug. He's so smug, but his face is gonna turn to a fucking frown. He's gonna be begging for his life. I can't wait, dude. Interesting rumors and humorous stories echoed intermittently as Klein maintained his smile, Interjecting from time to time, he also saw the Sammer family, 2 children entering and exiting energetically. Ooh, Sam had children. I wonder how much you are, you know, giving them pocket money. Like, do you need to earn 450 per year to give them some amounts of pocket money? Next to him, Jürgen wore his usual serious expression, occasionally providing legal advice for the discussion. Klein smiled, turned his body slightly, and asked in a low voice, "Are you bored?" "No, the topics are very interesting," Jürgen nodded seriously. Klein was stunned and blurted out a question. "Then why don't you laugh?" Jürgen frowned slightly and looked at him in puzzlement. "Why are you smiling?" Klein mouth twitched, not knowing how to respond. Bro, opposite of Klein, man. Klein always smiling because, you know, obviously also smiling about... because Clown smiles a lot, but Jürgen is... What's the opposite of Clown, by the way? Realist? I don't know. 2 of the 3 objectives for coming to Backlund is nearly completed. Exactly. It was a joke. I was about to make a joke about how much Jürgen was like his cat, Brody, forever so serious when he suddenly heard a series of ethereal pleas. Female. His justice has found useful information so quickly based on my clue I gave her. Klein stood and slightly bowed. Then it used the bathroom. Smooth, Klein. And dynamic duo, exactly, by the way. They will be great main characters for a TV show, you know what I mean? In the bathroom, Klein locked the door, took 4 steps counterclockwise, and went about the grey fog. His judgment was very accurate as the plea came from his justice. Klein suddenly felt nervous as he emanated his spirituality and anticipation and seriousness to listen to her words. After the usual honorific name, Justice recounted truthfully. They discovered the clue you provided to the Workers' Alliance Tavern in the Pier District, East Balamdok. The person nickname is Giant. After dealing the Giant and figuring his in and outs, they discovered the person suspected to be Lanevos at the East Balamdok's Union. Fucking, let's go, Gio. Let's fucking go, man. Therefore, they don't dare to approach Lanevos because Giant is very powerful and dangerous. They can only continue waiting for an opportunity. In the meantime, they also asked if they could notify the police and collect the bounty after confirming that it's Lanevos. Lanevos is a very powerful and dangerous helper. Does he have any other helpers? I mean, he has the entire, like, Aurora Order backing him, right? Is there faction block backing him? Why did he kill so many people? What was he planning to do by being in a dock union? Is he gonna massacre all these people in the dock area? A series of questions flashed through Klein's mind, making him feel that things were much more complicated than he had expected. It's just he was there because he was meeting with someone, probably. He had a meeting with another person. I don't think it's like that deep. As for the last request, his answer was undoubtedly yes. He would even suggest the other party they should inform the Church of Evernight Goddess directly because there was a possibility of the police leaking the information. Getting the Nighthawks to the Church of the Goddess to kill Lanevos is also a form of revenge. Exactly. Fucking revenge for Don Smith. Hans slightly murmured to himself. He had a strong urge to immediately confirm that the man was Lanevos. Lest things changed because he waited too long. He took a deep breath to suppress his emotions and undid the spirit pendulum around his wrist on his sleeve. There is danger going to the dock union for confirmation. Closing his eyes and chanting 7 times, Khan opened his eyes and looked at the topaz pendant. He discovered it was motionless, completely still. Oh, not enough information. Information failed. Klein immediately frowned. Are you okay in there, Klein? Are you having a long shit? He changed the sentence he used, changed the divination method, but they all resulted in a failure. Why? Is it maybe... Wait, there's 2 things. Not enough relevant information, or there's a force blocking the divination, right? After some careful thought, he thought of 3 reasons. First, there wasn't enough information to make a divination. Second, Lanevos wasn't at the dock union, making it difficult for divination to succeed. And third, Lanevos was just like Ints, who had items that could shield against divination. Yeah, I think the first or third one. I don't think the second one. Maybe he left. Huh, what's up with that? 1 second, guys. Sorry, 1 second. How are you guys doing, by the way? Item to shield against divination, a benefit he obtained from the god spawn ritual. Maybe. A god of the true creator. Godhood of the true creator. Klein thought for a few seconds and decided that no matter what, he had to make a trip to the dock union. Maybe also, you know, went to a new sequence and maybe from there, maybe the, what's it called, the Swindler pathway? Let me just look at the notes for a second. Or ruder, sorry. There were certain things that needed to be done even though danger was certainty. I mean, hire bodyguard, hire Sharon again. If the two ladies were able to observe secretly without being seen, so can I. I only need to meet with Lanevus once and I can confirm it with divination. Of course I can't be rash, I have to prepare in advance. For example, I have to send the all black eye of the grey fog and not carry it with me. That's to prevent the spiritual corruption of the true creator from resonating with quote-unquote his godhood. For example, I should elevate my height so that the giant won't be able to recognize me as the passerby from last night. My figure. For example, I will find a suitable and sufficient reason to not arouse suspicion. Yes, I can pretend to be a reporter. Oh, classic. And head to the telephone interview. I'll visit Mike Joseph later and borrow his false reporter ID. Is Mike Joseph gonna let you have it though? I feel like Mike is kinda indebted to Klein, so I guess he would give it, even though, like, you know, Mike paid him. I don't know. The corner of Klein's mouth slowly curled up as he blanketed his body with his spirituality before descending back into the real world. Instinctive trembling. Interesting. So, it's definitely Lanevus. The divination failed. Then that we don't know if there is danger or not, but I feel like there's relatively high chance of shit going down in the next few chapters, which means that we might, you know, say hello to Sharon. And who knows, maybe Sharon is also keeping an eye on us, because Sharon is probably interested in Klein. Because, you know, there's something that Sharon probably saw in Klein, I think. Anyway, so let's jump into 284 right now. During the afternoon at Dock Union at East Palam Dock. Here we go. What if Sharon joins the Dart Club? You are assisting me. You shouldn't make me think questions, you know? What if she does, it's cool, right? But I think what she said about, like, being alone, I don't think that's gonna change. I think that she doesn't want to change that, right? That's the vibe I'm getting. Like, she's only... So far, she's been acting on her own interest. If it's money, £1,000, or, you know, the basement in Millet's house. Both have been in, you know, self-interest. Lone wolf, exactly. During the afternoon at Dock Union in East Palam Dock, Klein wore a thick sweater and tan jacket and a simple cap that brought him closer to the usual investigative reporter in style, rather than the ones who attended banquets and interviewed people of status from time to time. Such a costume had cost him an extra £1.10 solly. Minus £1.10 solly. At that moment he was wearing gold-rimmed glasses, like Lanevus, and his hair was neatly combed back, gleaming with the luster of hair oil. His face no longer had a messy beard, so he could only plaster a deep black stubble around his lips. His height was at least 5 centimeters taller than before. He was trying his best to look differently from the worker from last night, making it impossible for anyone who wasn't particularly familiar with him to make any associations. In the pockets of his clothes and trousers there was no all-black eye, no charms or herbal essential oils. There was only a deck of tarot cards and a stack of notes, a fountain pen and a wallet, some change, a bunch of keys, and a false reporter in the ID documents. So, did he get it from Mike, or he didn't know the Lanevus' current condition, nor did he know where the powerful Beyonder lingering around him came from. Hence, out of precaution, he didn't bring any suspicious items. Looking at the two-story building ahead of him, Klein crossed the street, pretending not to rely on Clown's intuition, noticed the several pairs of eyes that were watching him. He pushed open the door and saw that the Dock Union's layout was rather simple. There were no female receptionists or spacious lobbies. The stairs on the second floor were in the middle, flanked by office corridors. Do you know why it's simple? Because it's a union and they don't spend money on, like, making it look good, right? Because it has to, like, work, right? And the floors weren't lined with wooden planks, much less carpet. They were paved purely out of cement. Klein turned his head to look at the man guarding by the door as he went over and said, "I'm a reporter from Backland Daily Tribune. I'd like to interview the workers of your association and get to know your needs and desires." The man was wearing a very patched jacket with which even had dirty cotton lining exposed and a linen shirt underneath. After hearing the word reporter, suddenly became vigilant and replied loudly, "No! We haven't organized a strike lately. No." Because that's what usually the reporters ask them, right? I think you misunderstood me. I'm someone who sympathizes with you. Aww, Klein. I'm planning on doing a social report. It's just saying that, but I feel like that's his true feelings as well, right? I'm planning on doing a special report on what the union does to help the workers and the actual difficulties they encountered. Trust me, the help of his clown beyond the powers, Klein made his eyes look abnormally sincere. Bro is bleeding like that, man. Is that so? Is that so? Go on, Mr. Rand. Our committee member is in charge of publicity. Turn right and it's the second office on the right. The man hesitated for a few seconds before replying. I mean, usually like reporters and stuff, in a lot of the media, especially during this era, kinda, you know, favors the rich because they pay reporters more. It's not really like uncommon to like see that reaction from the union guy, right? Hesitated for a few seconds before replying. Thank you, Klein bowed his feigned relief and he felt the gaze observing him from the dark corner of the room vanish. He turned to his right and his back, perspiring in cold sweat, knocked on the office door. The door creaked open. A middle-aged man with a sparse hair, went from receding hairline to sparse hair, looked at him and asked, "May I know who you are?" "Mr. Rand." "Mr. Rand? I'm a reporter in Statham from the Backland Daily Tribune. These are my reporter identification documents. I like to make a report with unions as the theme to help you acquire more attention." Klein almost believed he was a journalist. Damn, acting so good is fooling himself. "That's me," the middle-aged man looked at the reporter ID document, said hesitantly, clearly unwillingly. "It's hard for me to believe what the reporters are here to help us." Exactly, that's what I said, by the way. So yeah, I was born in East Borough and I know how miserable the lives of workers are. If you don't believe me, you can follow me the entire time and monitor my every question. Suddenly smiled and added, "A report with actual interview data will be better than nothing, far better than news written purely based on imagination. At least you can provide your views and hopefully guide things in the direction you want." Rand touched his scalp and replied hesitantly, "All right then, I'll follow you the entire time." "Thank you." Klein almost lost control of his emotions. Afterward, under Rand's guidance, he entered the office after another, interviewing the members of the Workers' Association according to his prepared questions. Right corridor, nothing. Left corridor, nothing. Klein calmly went to the wooden stairs to the second floor. This time, Rand led him to the office directly opposite of the staircase and introduced the people inside. This is the reporter from Backland Daily Tribune, Mr. Tatham. Once interviewed a lot of you, but I have to remind you that there are some questions which you can have the right to refuse to answer. I smiled, took 2 steps forward and made a gesture to shake hands with each and every staff member in the room. Nice. Klein has riz, or like charisma. At that moment, he had a slightly familiar figure. Is it him? Is it him? Although the man's skin had turned bronze, the ordinary round face had become angular, and his glasses had changed from round frame to cold trimmed frame. It's him! Bro, he's just pretending to be a unionist, bro. Bro, he's pretending to be a unionist. Klein still found a trace of familiarity from his spirituality as a seer. Immediately afterward, his body trembled and the smile on his face almost went out of control. I'm sorry, I suddenly have a stomachache. May I ask where the washroom is?" Klein asked with an awkward smile, holding his stomach with the hand that didn't hold a pen and paper. Rand and staff didn't suspect anything. They all pointed to the door and said, "Go out, turn left. When you reach the end, you'll see the sign." Klein smiled. Worth every pound now paid, she owed the incentive, exactly. Rand and the staff didn't suspect anything, yeah. Klein smiled apologetically and walked out of the room, heading quickly for the washroom. Are we gonna execute him right here? We can't, right? Inside, he selected the cubicle closest to the window, sat on the toilet and looked at the wooden door behind him. He bent down the corner of his mouth, curving into a silent laugh. Aww, he laughed so hard that nearly couldn't help keep his body straight. Oh my god. Oh, a drop of sparkling liquid fell into the ground from his laughter. Oh my god, like a tear? Laughing so hard like a tear fell? Damn, dude, that's so emotional. Klein had confirmed that it was Lanevos. We can finally avenge Don Smith. The moment is here. Hello, chat. You guys are very quiet. Any lurkers? Klein confirmed that it was Lanevos. We got him. We got his ass. It wasn't because of that small sense of familiarity, but because he felt another type of aura from the other party's body. Oh, the true creators like godhood. One had left an extremely deep impression on him. It's also the main reason why he had nearly lost control on the spot. The trembling of his body originated from his instinctive fear. The collapse of his emotions came from the horror and sorrow deep within his memories. That was the aura of the true creator. Oof. Okay, that's a problem. That means it's extremely powerful, right? So, you know, summoning or like trying to bring the true creator back in thing and give him some characteristics and some, you know, powers as well, which is gonna be hard to deal with. God damn it. Maybe we have to hire Sharon again, I'm guessing. I don't know. But this bodyguard has to be around there as well. What a piece of shit, by the way, that is like inside a union, right? And wash his face and went to the side. That's a pretty good cover up though. Like people aren't gonna suspect maybe. I don't know. And washed his face and went to the side. Went on with the interview as if nothing had happened. Like, is he you're playing Rem in Deadlock? Oh my, Rem is so ass. I was playing against Rem yesterday, and it was horrible experience, man. Add me on Steam, bro. We can play together, right? Yeah, we can play together. Do you wanna play together later? I main page. Sorry, I'm off tracking here from the show. Anyway, on the book. Anyway, which means that he's a swindler, right? He's in a union. Is he scamming also the union? Like he will probably still act as a swindler. Obviously, he has maybe like ascended to a higher sequence, or ascended, leveled up to a higher sequence. So we're not really sure if like being a part of a union is also one of his plans as well, or is just a cover up, you know? We need to ask questions and record answers. Also, yeah, like he changed a lot. Did he get like plastic surgery or something? Or the true creators like aura or the godhood properties he got from the true creator like changed him or something. After finishing all of this, he paid farewell to the Workers' Association and walked out of the dimly lit building. Outside, the sky was cloudy and misty as if the evening had come early. The true creator's aura can only come from his body or spawn, as well as things that extend from the two. For example, items bestowed by him or his godhood. This corresponds with what Lanevo said to Hudyugen. In addition, there's that tinge of familiarity. I didn't even need to go above the grey fog for divination to confirm that it's him. If it wasn't for me having already interacted with the true creator a few times and coming close to his mental corruption, there's no way I could have recognized the aura to be his, which didn't contain any strength and of his nature. And felt heavy emotions, but he appeared very relaxed. You're back, Masters? Oh no. Hello, welcome back. I'm not sure how long I'm gonna stream for. We found Lanevus, by the way, hiding in a fucking union. Also, I was ranting earlier about the homeless people, and I was very like loud with my opinions as well, so missed that part. Man got exposed by our Queen's Geo. Yes, Geo has done such a good job, man. I kind of a few times and coming close to his mental corruption, there's no way I could have recognized that aura to be his, which didn't contain any strength on his nature. Glenn felt heavy emotions, but he appeared very relaxed. He stood on the street and purposely organized the interview notes. In the process, he caught a glimpse of a slightly familiar figure among the tramps across him. Oh, Gio! But, you know, obviously, like, Gio is not going to recognize Klein. Imagine, like, oh, this guy looks like a fool. Like the fool, I mean. Even though, like, Klein also has a pretty big, like, a pretty big disguise on, right? Very big disguise on. Miss Gio? Klein instantly made... Oh, wait! Gio hasn't... Wait. Gio hasn't been in the Tarot Club. Fuck. I'm dumb. Not yet. I'm jumping the gun. My headcanon is that Gio is already in Tarot Club. I mean, it's gonna be after this, right? Because that was the mission was given to Gio. So yeah, Gio is gonna join right now. After Lonaios has been executed. He didn't stop and put away the notes before walking... Miss Gio, Klein instantly made a guess with what he knew. He didn't stop and he put away the notes before walking towards the direct public carriage station. Nice observation, Klein, by the way. At this moment, a horse carriage suddenly stopped in front of him. We meet No, not the time! We meet again, sitting in the carriage with an elegant middle-aged middleman with white hair. Oh, Isengard? What's his name? Detective Isengard? Why is he here? Why? Wait, the coincidences are too much coinciding. You know what I mean? The coincidences are coincidencing too much. But too many coincidences are not coincidence anymore. What the fuck? What timing do you have, Isengard? You were there also with Capim, right? He met again, sitting in the carriage with a thin, elegant, middle-aged middleman with white hair on his temples. He was a great detective who was helping the police investigation. Isengard Staten. Fuck. Like, do they just know, like, does someone know Klein's every single move? Someone has GPS on, Wait, Isengard is a detective Mo. I guess people are on that scammer's ass. Yeah, I mean, true. That's true. That's so true. But then again, like, there has been way too many coincidences, man. It can't be ints. It's just, I don't think it's ints again. It's what they want us to think. Bellfish wants us to think it's ints, but it's like so basic, right? The Lord of Mysteries is cooking something, you know? As for Klein, he didn't look any different than usual. He was just a little taller and had changed into a new set of clothes. Also, yeah, Klein is in a really big disguise, but of course, the coat Isengard is going to recognize Klein no matter what, because he's also a very good detective, right? What a coincidence! I was just thinking about the last time I interviewed you, Klein answered deliberately. Isengard suddenly understood and changed the subject with a smile. I'm here to investigate a case. The death of Sibir has been eliminated and I'm in charge of it. Her death is very close to the East Balam dock. Lanevus got him! Fate or arranged coincidence? So Lanevus, what about the serial killer though? Because Sibir was like a anomaly, you know? So this is indeed copycat crime, Klein feigned in ignorance. After exchanging a few pleasantries, getting to the tracked public carriage, instead of going straight home, he made a transfer and headed to the Kolai Club in Hillston. In the club's lounge, he quickly went above the grey fog to confirm that no one was following him. Only at this step did Klein completely relax and feel some lingering fear. The aura of the true creator lingered in his mind like a nightmare, leaving the clothes on his back moist after they repeatedly tried. Oh, because sweat, right? Isengard must be as good as Klein remote. Yeah, that's why I think he's also a Beyonder. Even though he might be on the reader pathway, sequence 7, right? Detective. Maybe that's what Isengard is. He's an actual detective and a Beyonder detective, even though, like we said, like not every like detective, not every doctor, not every policeman is a Beyonder, right? But you know, if he's the best, right? You know, you have to be one hell of a mortal, not mortal, sorry. You have to be one hell of a non-Beyonder to be the best. You know what I mean? To be sure, Klein conjured a yellowish-brown coatskin parchment and a dark red fountain pen before writing a divination statement he had already long thought of. The source of the inexplicable familiarity earlier, putting down the fountain pen and leaning back into his chair, he began to mumble as he entered the dream. In that grey and illusory world, he saw a figure. This figure had ordinary facial features. He wore round glasses and he was condescending and taunting smile from beginning to end. He was none other than Lanevus. Lanevus has such a punchable face, by the way. Such a punchable fucking face. I did write detective. Knowledge keeper. Yeah, I heard it here. Yeah, please like the video, thank you. Master, you're in a really good mood today. Where you get that info? Earlier with Miss Sharon at the basement, remember? Were you here? I forgot if you were here or not. It was in the first chapter we read today. So this figure had ordinary facial features, he wore round glasses. He was none other than Lanevus. We're gonna fucking kill him and get revenge. I can't wait. Finally found you. Klein no longer used his clown ability to control his facial expressions, and as he muttered to himself through clenched teeth. Then he sat up straight and prepared to answer Miss Justice's prayer. Klein controlled his emotions and said in a deep but cold voice, "There's no need for confirmation. That is Lanevus." Oh, cold. You can inform the Church of Evernight and tell them Dolanevos has godhood of the fallen crater. Audrey was watching her father train the hunting hounds with Susie, froze when he heard Mr. Fool's response. Fallen crater, isn't that true crater? That Swindler actually has godhood of the true crater. This is such a simple mission actually involves the godhood of the true crater. As expected, I knew Mr. Fool had other deeper motives. He was targeting the true crater as expected of Mr. Fool. Many thoughts flashed through Audrey's mind. You aced your anatomy class. Good job, man. Nice, masters. That's crazy. Midnight Cock Tower. Okay. I think we are gonna end the stream here. I'm gonna stream more tomorrow. And then also on Sunday. Right? And we're gonna get Dolanevos in the next stream, I think. I'm gonna try to do 5 more tomorrow. Just when you game, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And Dolanevos is going down. I mean, the Night Talks are gonna be on this as well. Like, if Audrey reports this, isn't it dangerous for Klein to like kill them? Even though I think it has to be Klein who gets the final kill on Dolanevos, because Dolanevos deserves it, right? Peak upcoming. Yep. You didn't make it till Monday? Yep, I didn't. Sorry. Anyway, see you tomorrow, guys. I'll schedule in a few hours.